Good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a Monday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and I'm not sure how good the morning is after the weekend series. The Mets finished with the Cardinals yesterday, dropping 3 out of 4, falling further below 500, falling to 7.5 games out of first place in the National League East, losing Noah Syndergaard, perhaps losing Jason Vargas, learning that Brandon Nimmo's neck is still not getting any better. Yeah, not exactly recipe for a good weekend. I want to talk a little bit more about the series, about what's going on, what's coming up, and whether or not we should start looking forward to 2020, because 2019 is another lost season. Being a team that plays really well so far this season has played pretty well at home. It's disheartening to see them lose 3 of 4 to the Cardinals at Citi Field this past weekend, especially because the Mets are about to embark on a really tricky and difficult road trip with the Braves and the Cubs and the Phillies. It's going to be tough, to say the very least, over the next 12 days or so, and I have mixed feelings about it. I feel like this could be the beginning of the end, but there's still that slice of optimism in me that thinks this is going to be the road trip that turns things around, and the Mets are going to take it to the Braves, and the Mets are going to take it to the Cubs, and they're going to take it to the Phillies, and then I realize that I'm being crazy, and that probably won't happen at all. But you know, it is what it is, as they say. What happened this weekend? Well, as I said, the Mets dropped 3 out of 4. Going back to Thursday, I last recorded a video Friday morning, which was before the Thursday game ended. That's odd. Yes, it is. The Thursday game was suspended and resumed at 6:10 on Friday, and promptly saw Edwin Diaz cough up the game. That was his first loss. Not his first loss, sorry. He earns himself a loss there. He was brutal this weekend at home, and the more brutal he is, and I don't think it's an ongoing thing. I really don't. I want to say his stuff is too good for him to struggle for any extended period of time, but we've seen Mets closers do this in the past, haven't we? And I want to talk a little bit more about that as something I'm going to say in a couple of minutes. But Diaz had a really rough weekend. He had a goat-worthy weekend, and I'm not talking about greatest of all time, of course. Diaz was bad, and Gazelman was bad, and the bullpen was bad again. Mets lead the National League with 16 blown saves. And if you're picking up on a pattern here, it's because this seems to happen every year with the Mets, where they're so damn close to just 1 inning, 2 innings away. I mean, look at the 2015 World Series, for Christ's sakes, where the Mets led 88% of the innings in that friggin' series. They lost because of the bullpen, and they're losing now because of the bullpen. That's a 16-game swing. The Mets had a decent bullpen, and I'm not going to blame Brodie Van Wagenen. I'm sorry, I'm not. I was 100% in favor of going out and trying to get Edwin Diaz. He's young, he's team controlled, he's one of the best closers in baseball. At least last year he was. I can't even fault him for Jeurys Familia. I can't fault him for Justin Wilson, who's a good acquisition and hasn't played. Familia has been dreadful, just positively dreadful. Not Brodie Van Wagenen's fault. Is it the Wilpons' fault? I'm sure everyone likes to think that and agree with that, but I can't agree with that either. They don't pitch. Sorry. These guys are major leaguers, and yeah, you can say, you know what, maybe the Mets should have been acquiring different players. That's fine. You can believe that. But you can't honestly say that these 3 guys, with the track records all 3 of them have had, you expected them to be this bad. You can't. And you can't blame the friggin' general manager for making these sorts of acquisitions, looking to make the team better. On paper, should have made the team better. Didn't make the team better. Bullpen is an absolute shit show, dumpster fire, unwatchable. It is unwatchable. Friday was fun because the Mets got to lose 2 games over the course of 5 hours. It was fantastic. Saturday was awful because Diaz again struggled mightily, and the Mets crept away with the win in a game that saw Noah Syndergaard go on the injured list, leave the game with a tight hamstring, and who knows how long we're going to be without Noah Syndergaard. And then Sunday, with the ace on the mound yesterday, Jason Vargas left the game after 4 innings pitched because he had a cramp in his calf. Now, the diagnosis there is not severe, but this is, of course, the Mets that we're talking about. So I can't really say that I agree with that prognosis. We'll see how many how many starts Jason Vargas misses as a result of this non-injured injury. Not a big deal, right? So the injury bug is starting to creep up. That's fun. Nothing that we're not used to, of course. I mentioned before Brandon Nimmo. Rehab assignment, his neck acting up again. Joel Sherman says it's not any better, according to his reporting. So we'll see what happens with Nimmo. And the point I was going to make before, and the point I'm about to talk about now, is it's like we're reading the same book that we've read for the last 5 years, but it's just been written by a different author. The outcome is exactly the same. We're just getting there a little bit differently. Bullpen stinks. Injuries creep up. New training staff. New coaching staff. New personnel. New players. Older, younger, veterans, mixed. Doesn't matter. When you come to the Mets, you turn to shit and you get hurt. Turn to shit if you're a reliever. That goes without saying. And you get hurt if you're not a reliever. I feel bad for these draft picks. I really do. Because they have to be looking at it and being like, all right, I'm not a pitcher. I'm a third baseman, or whatever the hell position Brett Beatty plays, or whatever his name is. I'm going to get hurt within the first year of my signing with this team. It's a foregone conclusion. I mean, they might as well schedule their surgeries now. If I'm a little more negative than I normally am, it's because I'm just fed up. I'm fed up. I'm not blaming the Wilpons. I'm not blaming Brody Van Wagenen. I don't know who to blame. This is not a bad team. I was wondering that last week, but I keep looking at it. Not a bad team on paper. Sadly, the game's not played on paper. So, and fun, the Mets kick off a long road trip against really good teams. As I said, the Braves, the Cubs, and the Phillies starting tonight. Zach Wheeler on the mound. He'll probably tear his ACL, and we won't see Zach Wheeler ever again. I'm hoping that's not the case because, honestly, if this progression continues and the Mets play this poorly, Zach Wheeler is going to get traded at the trade deadline. And he should. If the Mets remain 7.5, 8 games out of first place and 3, 4, 5 teams deep in a wild card race, they've proven that they don't have the ability to be consistent for any period of time. So it doesn't make sense not to sell Zach Wheeler at this point, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and at the end of this long road trip, the Mets will be 4 games over 500 and in first place. I almost said that with a straight face. On the bright side, look, we still get to watch Pete Alonso as he approaches breaking Darryl Strawberry's rookie home run record of 26 in a season. So there's that. And there's some other things to look forward to this year. I can't think of any right now because I'm just not in the mood. So keep watching, keep cheering, keep rooting for Pete Alonso. That's what I'm doing. And I'll see you tomorrow when I come back to talk about how badly the Mets lose tonight in Atlanta. So, until then, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met, where I will do my very best to be more positive than I was this morning on this video. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, let's go Mets.